Welcome back to Crystal Clear! I'm Oshrik Vox, and to me, Snow Day was one of the most important episodes of Steven Universe Future, as a lot of Steven's interactions and dialogue to the gems also serves as the crew addressing the audience. And that out of everything new in Future, Steven's growth has the greatest impact. As always, we're going to run through this episode and break it down, for all the Easter eggs and details you might have missed. Of course, spoiler warning. If you have not watched these episodes, please click off now. With all that said, let's dive in. We open up with Steven's morning routine that is all too relatable. His phone's alarm activating at 7:13, which in itself seems odd. Why 7:13? While the time in itself may be an Easter egg to a certain date, maybe a birthday, the only dots I could connect in that regard was the episode Cry for Help, which aired on July 13th in 2015. Now that episode did feature both Sugilite and Sardonyx, who pop up in this episode, so maybe that's it. Or its meaning escapes me completely. However, I don't think Steven has an alarm set for this specific time. I think this odd alarm is actually the alarm's second time going off, simply because Steven used the snooze feature to catch some extra Z's. The alarm in itself being set for 7. He may not get up on the first try anymore. Through Steven's phone calendar, we can piece together that Future isn't taking place in a small time frame, but rather excerpts over an extended period of time. One reminder stating that the third quarter of Little Homeschool begins next week. Little Homeschool certainly felt like it was in the early stages, first quarter classes at the start of Future. So seeing that these adventures aren't happening so close together makes it a lot more believable that Steven isn't running into constant insanity during an era of peace. When Steven scrolls down his agenda, sandwiched in between interpretive dance and the volleyball game is baseball practice. I'll call that to the episode Hit the Diamond, where the Crystal Gems to see the Ruby Squad stalling for time with a game of baseball. I wonder if Era 3 has given baseball a sort of historical significance to Gemkind. More as Steven's depressingly real morning routine, he has to verbally affirm his capability of getting out of bed instead of bursting out with full energy, and he no longer sits down for a complete balanced breakfast, condensing his time and meal into a protein shake. However, what broke my heart the most, Steven has retired the cheeseburger backpack. What kind of sick joke is this? He didn't even pet Cat Steven, let alone take the cheeseburger backpack, so whatever timeline Garnet foresaw went out the window right then and there. But yes, these things alongside Steven's general abrasive nature towards the gems makes it clear what the topic of this episode is. Steven is no longer a little kid. Hell, he's barely even a teenager at this point. He's practically a full-blown adult, growing into that cynical mindset we're all doomed to adopt. What makes me say Steven's more of an adult than anything else really stems from his preferral of the Dandai because of the errands he has to run in town. This is just Steven's daily routine now, much closer to a college student, or more so, having a 9-to-5 job. He teaches at a school. He has to take care of his other business first thing in the morning. As we see later on in the episode, he doesn't have a decent work-life balance, and until he figures out what he wants for his future, this really is what the rest of his life looks like. To cap off this depressing opening scene, Steven looks irritated as the gems all pat his head, showing no signs of life. This moment echoing the original 2 theme songs, more so the latter, where such a thing brought a giant smile to his face. But here, he's sick of being coddled and treated like a child, and any signs of affections he once equally adored just seems belittling to him, as with any teenager or young adult. It's very real, but for all the fans out there adjusting to college or the general adult life, like us here at the Roundtable, it's a different kind of connection. And with this episode, the Crewniverse acknowledges the large amount of older fans who watch the show, communicating a similar mindset by checking in where Steven as a character currently is at, and what his current relation is to his family dynamic. Steven returns home to the gems prepared with a family night consisting of Pupcopter, a spin-off of Dopcopter, animal face mask, and pepperoni pizza, only to be met with Steven stating that he's been a vegetarian for a month, again cementing that this epilogue is held within a larger time frame than normal, as he was eating pepperoni pizza in guidance, and it lines up well with Steven's character, who was always empathetic with even animals, alien or not. Remember when he was going through his photos in full disclosure? One of them of Connie at a restaurant, and we could see how distressed Steven was at a mounted animal head? Yeah, this was long overdue. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner, but also he's now at a great age to make that choice. And hey, Morningstar products rule! Not sponsored. Stating Pupcopter is for 6-year-olds not only establishes that this series is likely a spin-off for younger audiences, but is also a meta jab at how Steven Universe in itself was conceived for a target demographic of 6 to 11-year-olds. But as any convention, content creator, and my YouTube analytics can inform you, the show and its audience evolved so much beyond that initial age range, contributing to the show maturing to the state it's at now. As for skincare routine, yeah, this man is an adult and I gotta hop back on mine. The Gems get snowed in, cancels classes, and as Steven attempts to revise the calendar for a little homeschool, Amethyst ship shapes and initiates Steven Tag, a classic Stevenverse adventure just like in the good old days. Garnet lures Steven into the game as she tags in, but her and Amethyst get duped into Rose's room, which I hope this is not the final appearance of. However, when Garnet doubts out of the temple door from the burning room, you may notice some bubble gems still remain. This may be a reused asset, but I kinda doubt it's an error or an oversight, simply because it looks less crowded than it did prior to Change Your Mind. Which, if you rewind to the end of that supersized finale, while the crystal gems did remove most of the bubbles, there are a handful still suspended in air, which is where we can assume cherry quartz also came from. They started in bulk, but decided to take it one step at a time afterwards. I can imagine the montage at the end of Change Your Mind was actually the process of an entire day, and the diamonds got tired out, returning to homeworld. So they devised a new system with the method Steven uses to uncorrupt cherry quartz and little homeschool. This leaves the room open for even more uncorrupted gems from the original series to appear. I want to see what the Opalist gem from Series Steven really looks like, and what her deal is in general. So let's maintain hope and keep it strong. Pearl wanders by and quickly gets tagged by Garnet, who definitely saw a very happy outcome for her to even entertain this idea. And much to Steven's disbelief, Pearl has a huge moment for her character by, for the first time in over 6,000 years, since assisting Pink Diamond's nature shattering by assuming the form of rose quartz, shapeshifts for a wholesome game of Steven Tag. You love to see it. She even keeps the nose as Steven. Garnet and Amethyst are all here for it too. The reaction seriously made the episode for me. Pearl's "The power of Steven Tag compels me" is a clear play on "The power of Christ compels me," but also maybe a potential reference to this vine right here. Once all 3 gems are tagged in though, this episode gets weird. Pearl is still folding Steven's red shirts that don't fit him anymore for some reason, unless they also came in a size up, which would make sense given they were Greg's failed merch, thus they come in various sizes. But what's weird is, after taking it outside, the gems decide to break out fusions. All shapeshifted as Steven. Sugilite, no Nikki required, Sardonyx, no hammer required, Opal with a garnet arrow, and to top it all off, Alexandrite Steven with fire breath that invokes the most classic sips in space onto Steven. Each of these mixing the fusion signature music with the chip tune associated with Steven. Also, each little graphic when a new fusion appears and later Steven tags in is very reminiscent of the new challenger approaching screens from Super Smash Bros. I want to say more so Ultimate in particular, but I have no idea when this episode was storyboarded, so it could just be a complete coincidence or something entirely unrelated to Smash Bros. Steven finally joins the game of his own accord, maneuvering around Alexandrite, who infuses into everyone's respective components to ambush Steven, only for him to bust out the bubble boxing gloves. Yet, in his eagerness to avoid the feeling of playing childish games with his family, he overlooks Sapphire, who, with her best Steven impression, finally tags him, forcing Steven to play by the rules and shapeshift into 14-year-old Steven, which really shows how much smaller he was compared to how he looks now, his black star shirt and pants becoming oversized. I noticed that Zach doesn't alter Steven's voice back to the original pitch, which in terms of consistency is a bit odd, because while the gems don't change voices shapeshifting, Steven has prior in the episode So Many Birthdays and Steven's birthday, so the voice not regressing threw me for a loop a little bit. And this leads to Steven and the gems having a moment of understanding. The gems finally seeing that Steven feels belittled as if he's still viewed as a child, whereas the gems just wanted to spend time with Steven, something that they felt they lost the more he grew up and took on adult responsibilities. And as Steven Tag is updated to reflect the person he's become in life, Steven indulges in time with his family, the two sides establishing something that's less of a compromise and more of a collaboration. Steven all bundled up and driving in the Dandai, this time with the gems buckled up and strapped in with them, traveling off to work together. As always, I want to hear your thoughts on this episode. Which fusion shapeshifted as Steven was your favorite? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at OshikThoughts. We're also on Instagram. Help the Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. OshikThoughts, signing out.